Hi, it's Penny here, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that are coming out in June that I am interested in, and as well some of the books that I've discovered over the last month that I am also interested in reading. Firstly, I do want to mention two books that I mentioned in last month's wish list, both The Guest List by Lucy Foley and Burn by Patrick Ness. They seem to have had their release date moved out to June the 2nd, although I'm currently reading The Guest List in ebook form from my library, so that doesn't quite seem right, but whatever. Apparently those release dates have moved, and that's happening a little bit at the moment, so you gotta be flexible. Another book that is coming out on the 2nd of June is Again by E. Lockhart. So I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart and I quite enjoyed it. This one, there's hints that it might have someone reliving their days over again, or perhaps their whole life over again, maybe just a summer. The synopsis talks about them falling in and out of love thousands of times, and it says, if you could live your life again, what would you do differently? So I really like books where people have to relive things over and over and they learn things along the way, so I'm looking forward to picking this one up. Then on the 23rd of June we have Forest of Souls by Laurie M. Lee coming out. Now I'm going to be honest, I'm mainly interested in this one because I think the cover's really pretty, and wouldn't it be nice if it was a really great story and then I could buy it and have a really pretty book on my shelves? That's not a good reason, but that's my reasoning. But also it is a YA fantasy, and while fantasy synopsises can be kind of hard to understand, this one seems to be hinting at some kind of soul-based magic, which again sounds really interesting. So this is another one that I want to get to. Next we have a couple of YA science fictions. So firstly we have Goddess in the Machine by Laura Beth Johnson. In this one there is a girl who has been put into cryonic sleep and then woken up 1,000 years later, which is much later than she was expecting to wake up, and also people seem to think that she is a god, which she's a bit confused about, but it sounds really interesting. I do really like the idea of mixing science fiction with some kind of god-based something. Regan at Perus Project mentioned this in her anticipated releases as well, and that just made me really excited to read it. Then we have True Life by J. Kristoff. This is the third book in the Lifelike series. So now that the third book is out, that means I can read the whole series. I don't know much about the series except that I know it has androids in it. I always like androids, and I have liked what I've read of J. Kristoff's so far, so I would like to pick up some more of his work. And then another third book in a series that's coming out next month is The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. So this is the final book in the Daevabad trilogy. I was excited about this when I put it on my list, but I've just started reading The City of Brass, and so far I'm finding it kind of boring. So let's hope that that changes so I can go back to being excited about this series. So far it seems to be a story set in Egypt based around jinn and other magical beings and all their politics. So those are all the new releases in June that I'm excited about, but also, there were a bunch of books that I discovered in May that I added to my Goodreads to read list. I don't know when I'll really get to any of these books because I have a lot of books that I want to read, but I do like to share these discoveries with you guys. So firstly, I added onto my list Nocturna. I didn't note down who it's by though. By Maya Montaigne. I think that's how you say that. And this is a Latinx inspired world with face shifters and forbidden magic. Gemma from A Story and a Song was talking about it and she really loved it, so I'm hoping that when I get to it I will as well. I also added Lock and Key, A Guide to the Known Keys. I think this is just another like short add-on to the Lock and Key world. I found it when I was reading some other ones recently, and I'm just kind of trying to tick off all the Lock and Key things so I can say that I've read everything. I'm really hoping for some more in-depth stories from that world, but I think I might be waiting for a while, so I'm just trying to fill in my Lock and Key needs with little bits here and there. Then we have Time Cat by Lloyd Alexander. If you've been watching my videos lately, you know I've been looking at books written from a cat's perspective. This is one of those, but also the cat has the ability to travel through time. So I also love time travel. Does this not sound like the perfect book? This is one that Extraordinarily Ellie was reading. I do think it is targeted towards a younger audience, so hopefully it will just be a lot of fun. Next we have The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. And I didn't make a note about where I heard about this one or what it was that really got me excited, but there is a girl who has sold her heart to a demon in exchange for escaping her disastrous life. She then falls in with another group of people who have sold things to this demon, and she's just trying to navigate her life without a heart. Then we have Iron-Hearted Violet by Kelly Barnhill. This is a middle grade book about a princess who loves telling stories. She finds a secret room with a forbidden book and then ends up having to go on an adventure along with a dragon. So Megan's Reading Revelations was talking about this one, and she just said that the character of Princess Violet was really great, and so I thought I would add it to my list. Then I've got Hidden Blade, which is the first book in the Soul Eater trilogy. This is one that Novelty Corner was talking about, and I believe it's an Egyptian-based paranormal fantasy with gods and maybe cats. I feel like if Steph mentioned cats, then that could be why I added this to my list. Honestly, give me all the cat book recommendations. I want them all. Then I also added Wanderers by Chuck Wendig to my list. I've seen quite a few people talking about this lately, probably because it is a book about a pandemic, which I know a lot of people are not wanting to read anything about at the moment, but it is really relevant. And I do think that it's interesting to read books that are relevant to the events that are going on around you at the moment. Also, we're getting to that part in the pandemic where it's a little bit less stressful than it was. Like, still not ideal, but less stressful. So I think soon might be a good time to read a good pandemic book. Then also I added to my list Over the Woodward Wall. This says it's by A. Deborah Baker, but it's actually by Sean Maguire, because this is a book that is talked about in Middle Game, and so Sean Maguire has written that book in full, because in Middle Game you get little snippets of it, and now she's decided to write the whole thing. I'm super excited to read that. It's going to be really weird because it's a middle grade type book, but it fits into this really weird adult fantasy with all this alchemical magic. So like, how's that gonna work? I don't know, but I'm excited to see. It doesn't come out until like October, but I'm gonna have to try and get my hands on it as soon as I possibly can. So that is all the books that are coming out in June that I'm excited about, or other books that I've discovered recently. Do let me know if you've read any of these books, or whether you're excited to read any of these books, because I would love to talk with you about them down in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.